Hi, I'm Rochelle Carey, filling in for Femi, and you are in the stream. Today, how is the Indian government changing Indian-administered Kashmir? We'll discuss current conditions in the country's only Muslim-majority state 2 years after New Delhi stripped the region of its semi-autonomous status by revoking Article 370. And if you have a comment or question, I'm sure many of you do, if you want to put that to the panel, just go to our YouTube chat. We will monitor those comments, and you will be part of today's conversation. So let's meet our guest today. In New Delhi, Hina Bhatt, a member of the BJP and vice chairperson of the Khadi Village Industries. In Srinagar, Gaur Galani, a journalist and author of the book Kashmir, Rage and Reason. Also in Srinagar, Sadiq Waheed, a historian and political analyst. Thank you all for joining us in the stream for this conversation. Gaur, I want to start with you. How would you characterize life in Indian-administered Kashmir 2 years on?
Oh, well, Kashmir has actually slipped back into darker ages. There has been suspension of civil liberties and various, Delhi-based groups itself, like Human Rights Forum or the Concerned Citizens Group, have prepared scathing reports about how civil liberties have been suspended, how media has been gagged, and how the political, space has actually been suspended also. Apart from the fact that, there is tremendous fear has been weaponized to stifle dissent. And, everything was done in the name of development. But if you see on the ground, there's a report by Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industries, which says that more than 500,000 people, including boys and girls, have actually lost their jobs. So on every, index that you want to analyze, Kashmir has actually slipped backwards. And it's like, you are surviving just to, kind of tell the tale. It's very, very difficult situation. And there are risks. And the security situation also, according to Kashmir, Human Rights Forum, a Delhi-based organization, has actually worsened in the last 2 years.
Gaur, that report that you're referencing, actually, I have some notes from that report. Human Rights Forum is what it's called, as you said. They said that close to 1,000 people are still in prison, including minors and elected legislators as well. So that's 1,000 people. Is that something that is talked about in the media? Or journalists allowed to discuss this, to press for answers on why this is happening?
Unfortunately, there has never been such a crackdown on media as has been prevalent in the last 2 years. Censorship has been sort of institutionalized and journalism has been criminalized. There is this draconian media policy which came into being last year. It's referred to as Media Policy 2020, which actually empowers a bureaucrat or a clerk in the Department of Information and Public Relations to declare any journalist, any reporter, proprietor, editor as his or her reports as anti-national or seditious or even fake, and then initiate a legal action against the said individual. We have had more than 43 journalists who have been summoned to police stations, cyber police stations, and have been questioned, humiliated, and 2 are arrested already. There is Asif Sultan's case for the last more than 2 years. There was Qazi Shibli, who faced 9-month-long detention and was arrested a second time around. And there are, more than a dozen journalists have cases under draconian laws. And this happens on almost a daily basis, that journalists are summoned to police stations. It is there is no freedom before expression. There is no freedom of expression, and there is no freedom after expression.
So I'm assuming, Hina, that you have a different perspective. How would you describe what the current atmosphere is in Indian-administered Kashmir 2 years since Article 370 was revoked?
I think my friend Gauhar elaborated so dramatically. I would understand that Article 370 was a sentiment what Kashmiris had. But we really need to understand that Article 370 was just the shell left, and it was to be removed. It was to be abrogated. The situation, if we talk about post 5 August abrogation of Article 370, I would say that Gawhar is very much aware that there has been no casualty. At least every Friday, what we would face, our loved ones would die in protest. That has stopped. I would say what is more important, the lives or the political scenario what we had since decades. I think for the first time since I'm born and brought up and I see situation in Kashmir, there has been minimal casualties.
But let me
What we
just a moment. Let me put the question to you, though. But at what cost? What you're describing is perhaps on the surface a more peaceful situation, but what Gohar is describing is journalists being thrown in jail. We also have someone on Twitter who sent us a comment that described Indian-administered Kashmir as an open-air prison with so many checkpoints, constant harassment by police, constant traffic stops. So at what cost is this peace that you're describing?
It is not today. If we just put everything after abrogation of 5 August, it is not today. It has been there since decades. I think since I'm born and I have seen the situation was always there, where there is a turmoil, where there is a militancy, where there is a killing every day. Security has to be there. And unfortunately, it is chosen to be in Kashmir. I myself am like, I see other parts of the country where we see so much peace, but in our place, Jammu and Kashmir, you see police everywhere, security forces everywhere, but they have their duty to do. Otherwise, what the changes we have seen, decrease in militancy, decrease in stone pelleting, decrease in so many things are there. And we have to accept it that there are changes.
Let me bring Sadiq in. Sadiq, what is your analysis of the current situation in Indian-administered Kashmir?
I would corroborate everything that Gohar said. I think that but I think another thing that needs to be looked at is that why is the situation prevailing as it is? And I think that's one. But the other thing that I would like to point to is the future. And the future looks very grim. The future looks grim because despite a very brutal crackdown on the 5th of August, 2019, the central government has not achieved any of its aims. I mean, the central government of India. And one of them was, for example, to bring a government that would be even more complicit with, the wishes of the government in Delhi. And that's not happened. Another promise that was made was that there would be great development, and that has not happened. And of course, the ultimate was that the people would be much happier. And I think that if anybody coming here would quickly conclude that that's not the case. I mean, amongst the vast majority. So I think the analysis of the past and the present, I think we've gone through. I think the future looks grim, and I think that is something that we need to put our focus on.
So
it looks grim.
Just a moment.
Sorry,
just a moment. That's no problem, because you brought up a point that we actually have. We actually have a soundbite from someone who says basically, kind of backing up what you said, that this was all done under the guise of development and being better for the region, but that actually some people are just very skeptical of that. So let's go ahead and listen to Mishpa Reshi and see what she has to say.
There's no question of the fact that the argument of development was an overhyped excuse for larger political motives. In fact, after 5th August 2019, with the complete lockdown, movement and communication blackout, the Kashmiri economy was completely devastated. But what has increased and changed since 2019 is that there's an increase on surveillance on Kashmiris both in the region and outside, arguing against the Indian government. There is a complete dissolution of space for civil society groups to exist, and there is a constricting of the right to freedom of speech and expression. In fact, stringent anti-terror laws are being used arbitrarily and excessively against Kashmiris in the region.
So there's a lot that she covered there, and some of this we've already discussed. But specifically, the president of the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industry said that the region's economy has actually suffered losses worth $7 billion in 2 consecutive lockdowns, first due to the Article 370 being revoked, and then obviously due to the pandemic as well. So basically, Hina, people are saying that the promises that the government made for why they were doing this actually just have not been true.
I would like to make it very clear. Yes, unfortunately, the clampdown after 5th August, and then more unfortunate was the COVID. It has been since decades issue, which one cannot just change it with a magical wand. That is the situation what the present government, the present governance is doing. We have to clear the muck of decades. And I think what I can see a change after years and years, that in downtown area, that shops are open now every day in week. Instead, like every Friday would be morning, another death of another Friday or the previous Friday. So this thing has stopped. And how does the economy has been hit by, like everybody is saying? Yes, of course. When there is a turmoil in a state, there is a militancy, there is a hurriyat calls of lockdown and shutdown, and there is a call that no employees will go. Of course, the economy has to.
Hina, I can tell that both other co-panelists want to get in here. I'm just trying to decide who's going to go first. Goer.
Yeah.
Rishal, thank you. I just want to make a couple of points. One is, she talked about, Ms. Hina Bhatt talked about downtown. Srinagar's downtown. I would like to, inform her that for 102 Fridays for the last more than 2 years, the central mosque of Srinagar has been closed and prayers have not been allowed there for 102 Fridays. That is more than two years. So point number one. Point number two, that all of this was done in the name of development. Actually, the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Omar Abdullah, who is also Vice President of the oldest political party, National Conference, which is a pro-India political party, actually said that even before 2019, in an interview with an Indian television channel, Times Now, he said on every single human development index, Jammu and Kashmir was doing way better than fancy states of India like Gujarat. On literacy, on GDP, on per capita income, etc. But even if there was development done and then civil liberties suspended, media gagged, political space and middle ground obliterated, you can't praise saying you can't forget the Holocaust. You can't forget the persecution of the Jews and say Mr. Hitler built great autobahns, the motorways. The argument is skewed. And I also want to inform Ms. Hina Bhatt that her own video is incidentally on the YouTube, wherein she mentioned that if Article 370 was abrogated by her own political party, she would be the first female to pick up the gun. We don't want anyone to pick up the gun, but probably it was a rhetorical statement or a political compulsion. So I think these arguments do not hold any water.
Sadiq, I am Go ahead, Sadiq, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's very curious that Ms. Bhatt should say that, all this has been going on, and so you can expect it to go on, number one. Because the government, the party that she belongs to, which is also heading the government in Delhi for the last 7 years, has been saying that they will turn things around in Kashmir, and very little has turned around. The other thing is that I think it's a rather specious argument to say that, it's going to take a lot longer for everything to turn around because of decades of turmoil, when in point of fact, her own leaders of her own party were saying that things will turn around immediately after August 19th. August 2019. These are just very difficult propaganda to get over. And it's very painful to hear somebody talking about it so facilely. I think that needs to be stressed.
What would you say to people there, to Muslims living in Indian-administered Kashmir who say that they feel like second-class citizens?
I don't believe and I don't accept that we are living as second-class citizens. I absolutely disagree with this. I have seen a change in Jammu and Kashmir, though I have studied and lived across the country, but the change is seen in every corner of the system. The corruption, the curb of the corruption, yes. The people who are getting affected, the people will.
But I want to read a comment for you when I talk about second-class citizens. We have a comment from someone on YouTube, Hussein Arsawala, Hussein, I hope I'm saying that right, says, what is the point of democracy if the voting rights of a populace to elect a chief minister is taken away in favor of what Hussein says is a central pseudo-dictatorship? People feel disempowered.
Government of India has been persuading and they have been pushing all the regional parties, political parties there for elections, but they have been denying to participate in elections. There have been new parties, political parties. Okay, let it.
So,
yeah.
She paused, so let one of you speak. She paused. So
do you want me to continue?
Who wants to pick that up? Sadiq, I heard the largest South. Go ahead.
I just want to remind Ms. Bhatt that the people, the one set of elections, which was somewhat of a surprise to all of us because it was at a fourth level of governance that was introduced, rather arbitrarily. And is not part of the structure. But at any rate, her party, the BJP, calculated that the others would not participate. They participated, and the BJP was roundly beaten. So I don't know. I mean, despite the fact that that layer of governance had no, which was called the District Development DDC,
so hyper-local
development, whatever. Yeah, sort of. And no development has taken place. The elections, so-called, have taken place. But also, from a structural point of view, it was a level of governance that had no power whatsoever. I mean, so what are we talking about? Pulling the wool over people's eyes.
Wahid, I just want to point out here that these elections happened after 70 years. When National Conference or PDP was...
Really,
it's very important. It's very important.
No, you need to understand the structure, Hina. There was no DDC. It was created.
Why not if young people would...
So hold on, Sadiq, hold on. Let her speak. But Hina, what of that? What is it? Is it possible that, I think what he's saying is these elections were just to make it seem like things were going back to normal and they weren't really substantive in any way?
The first important point what I want to make out here is it was not important that BJP will win the elections. If you look into the election and the candidates, there are new faces. There are new people, young boys and girls who have participated in elections. And this was the election what was always never happened in the history of Jammu and Kashmir. And why not? When there is a block development councillor there, then the block develops, then the area develops. How can you just say that nothing, it will just happen, just anti-BJP or anti-government?
So
just be honest.
Rishel, can I come in for a minute?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to quote from a report by Concerned Citizens Group, who have been coming to Kashmir, for the last 5 years, and it was their 9th report. And I'm reading from their executive summary, and it says that the arbitrary detentions in Jammu and Kashmir continue unabated. Censorship has been institutionalized. It says that there is, the large sections of population in entire Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh, Kargil and Leh, feel threatened about their demography and with this new delimitation of assembly constituencies. And also it says that bureaucratic rule actually is supreme and the trade has been badly hit. So this is not Gohar or Siddique saying this is a New Delhi-based group, concerned citizens group. And I earlier quoted from another report, Human Rights Forum. But one more important point which I want to make is about that lot of talk about Ladakh, Kargil and Leh. And now, it was actually an assault on the diversity of Jammu and Kashmir by bifurcating, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir into two different, territories to be controlled federally by New Delhi. And now people of Leh and Kargil have come together and actually moved the Supreme Court of India to challenge the abrogation of Article 370.
So, I want to get in a couple of comments from YouTube. One from Anand Singh, who says that he has talked to local people and they say that they want peace so that the tourism will grow again. Abdullah Shabir put this question to us. Why doesn't the United Nations take action against India? And I actually do have that question to either Siddique or Gohar. Were you surprised that it seemed that the international response was somewhat muted and has been over the last couple of years? Siddique?
Well, Rochelle, the international response has been very hard.
But the Secretary of State from the U.S. was just... Go ahead.
No, let me finish. I think that it has been very hard, but it is not, acknowledged and understood. For example, immediately after August 5th, 2019, the whole Kashmir issue was internationalized to an extent that we couldn't even dream about, and it was internationalized because of the fact that, the government of the People's Republic of China responded by saying that now they were part of it because it involved territory of J&K, which is occupied in part by China. And similarly, I think that over the years, and about a year ago, or a little over a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, there was a skirmish which turned out to be very serious. And now India has a problem all the way from Ladakh to the eastern side in Arunachal, vis-a-vis, confrontations with China. So I think that the international community has responded. It has not perhaps responded the way that we would like it to in Kashmir regarding, various issues that are local, etc. But it has sort of deepened the security problem in South Asia, as it has more than, I think, in a long time.
Gaur, I'm curious, what has your take been on what the international community's response has been?
I think I will add to what Mr. Siddique said. I think in these last 2 years, there have been scathing reports by the United Nations, back-to-back reports, in fact. And there have also been, if you look closely, the VDM Institute report and also the Freedom House report. Yes, I agree with Dr. Siddique that it's not enough or it's not, as the people of Jammu and Kashmir would have wanted. But there are other concerns. And as he rightly pointed out, that now this, what was done internally here, it was said that it's an internal matter, but it has geopolitical consequences, as Siddique pointed out earlier. And now there are Indian analysts, defense analysts, saying that there's a possibility of a two and a half front war, one with probably with Pakistan and China, and then in the hinterland. So this has actually gone too far. Maybe they had done a lot of homework to stifle the people of Kashmir, but it is beyond them.
You're saying you think that perhaps it had unintended consequences, and that will have to be the last word. Hina Bhatt, Gaur Gilani, and Siddique Wahid, thank you so much for the conversation. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that is all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.